What are the sources of Indian constitutions? So initially, when there is a target set to make Indian constitution, our great leaders traveled to different countries, took inspiration from them, and they implemented few of their laws in our constitution. And it took for them to 2 years and 11 months 18 days to make our Indian constitution. So they took 2 years 11 months and 18 days to make our Indian constitution. So they have taken inspiration from different countries' constitutions, and they added in our constitution, such as we'll briefly discuss them, such as government of India Act 1935. So they have taken inspiration from Government of India Act of 1935 and they directly inserted in our present day constitutions, such as a federal scheme, next governor's office, federal scheme, governor's office, next judiciary, next public service commission, next emergency provisions, and the last one is administrative details. So these are some of the inspirations taken from Government of India Act, like federal scheme, governor's office, judiciary, public service commission, emergency provisions, and administrative details. These are some of the features taken from or borrowed from Government of India Act of 1935. And the next is British Constitution. So what we have taken from British, so we borrowed from them parliamentary type of government. So parliamentary type of government. And next we have taken rule of law and single citizenship, next cabinet system, parliamentary privileges, then bicameralism, and last one is prerogative writs. So some of the features borrowed from British constitutions are parliamentary type of government and rule of law, single citizenship, cabinet system, parliamentary privileges, bicameralism, and prerogative writs. And from USA, what we have taken, so we have taken fundamental rights from them. So we have borrowed from fundamental rights from US Constitution, and Next we have taken independent judiciary. Independent judiciary. So fundamental rights, independent judiciary, impeachment of the president. Impeachment of president. Impeachment of the president. Next, judicial review. Judicial review. Next, removal of Supreme Court and High Court judges. And the last one is post of vice president. Post of vice president. So what we have borrowed from USA. So fundamental rights, independent judiciary, parliament of a president, impeachment of a president, judicial review, removal of a Supreme Court and High Court judges, post of a vice president. And the next one, next country is Irish. From Irish Constitution. So what we have taken? So from Irish Constitution, DPSP's directive principles and state policies, method of election of president, method of election of president, method of election of president, nomination of members of Rajya Sabha, nomination of members of Rajya Sabha. So what we have borrowed from them? DPSP's method of election of president, nomination of members of Rajya Sabha. Then next country is Canada. So from Canadian Constitution, So from Canadian Constitution, what we have taken? Federation with strong center. Federation. So federation with a strong center. Federation with a strong center and resting residuary power with center. Next is appointment of state governors. Appointment of state governors by the center. So by the center. Advisory jurisdiction of Supreme Court. Advisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. So mainly we can see articles related to centers from Canadian constitutions, such as federation with strong center, residual powers with the center, and appointment of state governors by the center, advisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. So next country, Australia. So from Australian Constitution, from Australian, what we have taken? Concurrent list. We borrowed concurrent list. So concurrent list, joint sittings of both the houses of parliament. So joint sitting of both the houses of parliament. So what we have taken from Australian constitution? So concurrent list, joint sitting of both the houses of the parliament. Okay. Then next, German constitution or Weimar constitution. So from Germany or Weimar constitution. Weimar, Germany or Weimar Constitution. So what we have taken from Germany or Weimar Constitution? So suspension of fundamental rights during a emergency. So suspension of fundamental rights during a emergency. And the next is USSR, that is today's Russia. So from USSR we have taken fundamental duties. Next, ideal of justice. That is social, economic and political in preamble. So what we see in our preamble, justice, social, economic and political justice. So this we have taken from USSR. So from USSR constitution, what we have taken, fundamental duties, ideal of justice, we can see in our preamble. So social, economic and political in our preamble. So next, French constitution. Next is French. So from French, what you have taken, republic and ideals of liberty, equality, fraternity in preamble. So from French, what you have taken, a republic and ideals of liberty, equality, fraternity in our preamble. So the next one is South African constitution. So from South African constitution, procedure for amendment of constitution. If you want to amend the constitution, so how we can amend? So procedure for amendment of the constitution. If you want to amend the constitution, so this we have to use. Election of members of Rajya Sabha, South Africa. Election of members of Rajya Sabha. Election of members of Rajya Sabha. And the last one is a Japanese constitution. From Japanese constitution, so only one we have taken, so procedure established by law. Procedure established by law. So from Japanese constitution, what we have taken, procedure established by the law. So these are a few of articles we have borrowed from various countries. So what we have seen, sources of Indian constitutions.